She doesn't remember me saying it, but I say, you're going to be one of the best buyer. She was a buyer agent. You're going to be one of the best buyer agents in our area. Okay. Yes. I tell you, people were watching us like a hawk. They're like, oh my gosh, this person and that person's going out together, and they're from here and they're from there. And it was crazy, but we had so many things that we aligned. So it's interesting. Like, I've been in real estate for a long time. I was actually on a team as a listing agent, a very high level listing agent. And so I knew all of the agents, and we're in a kind of a small market, about 800 agents in our board. And so I knew all of the agents, and so she came in, wrote an offer, and we were doing a deal together. And the way she handled that deal, and I knew she was new, right? Because I had never worked with her before. And I was like, I started asking her some questions. I'm like, okay, you did this, you did that. Right away, I'm like, who told you to do that? Right. And she's like, well, nobody. She just thought that was the right thing to do. I'm like, wow. I was like, okay. And I told her this. I say, and she doesn't remember it. I've asked her. She doesn't remember me saying it, but I say, you're going to be one of the best buyer. She was a buyer agent. You're going to be one of the best buyer agents in our area. And over the time, I saw her grow, and she had become one of the best buying agents in our area. And because we did so many transactions over and over again, and she handled them really well, and we've had a couple of them that actually fell through, but I saw how she handled that whole process. And so I just got to know her a little bit better. And then as we got to know each other, just through conversations, kind of building rapport with each other, it just I was like, hey, I think I want to go out with this lady. I've been single for quite a few years. I want to go out with her. And so we ended up going out, and it's kind of funny. The two teams that we were on, she was a buyer agent on one of the bigger teams in our area. I was the listing agent on the biggest team in our area. And so, there's like, walls or walls against, team and team brokerages or whatever. And so when we went out, I tell you what, of course we posted on social media, hey, we're doing this. And, cause it was an open event. And I tell you, people were watching us like a hawk. They're like, oh my gosh, this person and that person's going out together, and they're from here and they're from there. And it was crazy, but we had so many things that we aligned. And another thing that I really loved was, with her being in the real estate, I knew that she understood my schedule. Right. And so our first actual date that we went out, she came in with her laptop and she says, hey, wait a second, I got to write this offer real quick, cause she'd been out on showings. And I loved it. Right. I absolutely loved it. And so there it just kind of progressed and got engaged, got married. So then when we got to, our whole intention was, we both ended up, leaving our teams. And we actually, when we're together, we stayed at our teams because we liked our teams. Right. But then when we got married, we left our teams, and we were just doing our own thing, just both of us. Right. And so we started getting calls, or I was getting calls from agents that said, hey, if you ever look for an agent, if you guys are, going to have a team, I'd love to jump in on your team. And we're like, no, we're not ready for that. No, we're not going to do that. That was not in the plans. It was not on my radar at all. But we just kept getting asked. And again, because I knew all the agents, and I had great relationships with people. That's one of my big things, is just, keeping good relationships with other agents. And finally we were getting busier and busier. And I thought, let's try this out. What if we brought in an agent and see how this looked? So that was 4 years ago, and here we are at 20 agents now. Things really, really grew. It's been a lot of learning lessons. But what you do here, Matt, is one of the biggest lessons I teach my agents on a consistent basis. And I know we're going to dive more into that, but talking about the behind the scenes, I want them to have that quality of life. It's not about just grinding and getting the numbers and getting a paycheck. There's a reason you're doing it, right? And you don't want to lose it.